Tony. I didn't distill in grad school, but I made some hooch in the Navy when I was in boot camp. I took a paper plate, slice of bread, and some orange juice and sugar, and we put it up in the in the rafters. But also, my family used to bootleg beer and whiskey during Prohibition here in the Austin area. They actually were very successful at it. It was kind of a love story, but they decided to retire early from that because of a little love triangle thing going on. But that's a larger story. But in any case, Logan and I found each other through work. We're both engineers at a local semiconductor high-tech company here in the Austin area. So we met and gelled over craft beer, as you can see on the wall, and whiskey and everything else kind of in between. So when we first decided we were going to do this, we kind of it was sort of just an idea to see if we could. But long story short, we had 12 acres of land, which we're on now, and about $50,000 in startup capital. So we're kind of the epitome of bootstrapping distillery operation, and also the epitome of just do it yourself. So if you guys want any tips and tricks on how to do it cheaply, or maybe at least work around something instead of spending millions of dollars on your distillery, large column stills, things that you don't know how to use. We're pragmatic, so we like to do things on a small scale to prove to ourselves that we can do it, and then we might invest money in it later. But at this point, you guys have taken the whiskey trail out down into this little distillery. This is a 1,200 square foot building that we built, and we started building about the summer of 2011. Winter of 2012, we did everything ourselves. So we did everything but pour the concrete. So the building, every screw, all the electrical, plumbing, everything, we did. So even including assembling our stills. We didn't fabricate them, but we decided we were going to leave that up to the experts because I don't know how to work with stainless steel that well. So
I'm the technology half of Banner Distilling. I have a PhD in chemistry. I've been distilling since I was in graduate school. I've been doing it legally since 2012. I started with brandies, but worked my way into whiskeys and vodkas, and so now that's what we do. Tony and I work together in our day jobs at a high-tech company in North Austin. Tony's the equipment expert.
yeah. At the time that we started, vodka was probably our best option, and there was only Tito's and Dripping Springs out there on the market. I think also Enchanted Rock for the Texas market. So we decided we wanted to make a vodka that would really kind of strike home with the Austin demographic. So we started with an organic ingredient vodka. We chose the name Banner as a resurrected name from a pre-Prohibition distillery in Ohio. The name, we thought it was kind of synonymous with two things. One, kind of a matter of pride for Texas, and also it kind of means a matter of excellence. So one thing that Logan and I decided when we started this is we wanted to do something new or really inventive or first. So if it's being done already, we're not really interested, unless it's a bourbon. We haven't really tackled bourbon yet, but we decided to start with wheat whiskey because nobody else was doing it. If you look around, there's nothing but corn and wheat fields around here, so it's just kind of a logical choice. All the other whiskey distillers, which were Balcones and Garrison Brothers, that were the two main ones. They were doing grain to glass whiskeys. We decided long ago we wanted to do grain to glass. If we weren't, we would do that later. It turns out that working with wheat is more difficult than we anticipated with a small kind of professional homebrewer roller mill. But we'll show you the process. It's pretty interesting because you're not going to find a real mash tun or fermenters or anything like that here. We're going to show you the way we kind of do it. If you guys are familiar with, say, Corsair, then you might actually see some things that are kind of familiar with what we do with respect to our process. With that said, did I miss anything? Questions? Do you have any questions?
I think people need whiskey in their hands.
I'm about to start pouring some spirits because that's I think that's why we're all here.
One's got a slightly bigger bottom than the other. They're named after the two cannons that were donated to the Texans during their Revolution fight by the citizens of Ohio. Pretty cool. Elizabeth is our workhorse. She does 90% of our distillation. Today, she's actually distilling some beer. We're just finishing it up. It's almost done. But Eleanor today got the run. She ran some cider, the second run on cider that we did. So here, when we do our distillations, we generally do double distillations. All our whiskeys are double distilled. All of our brown spirits are double distilled, and we're double distilling this interesting cider from a local cidery. So Elizabeth, she makes our vodka and our whiskey. Obviously, we do a good cleaning between those two. I don't want whiskey flavored vodka, although it might be an improvement in most vodka cases. Tony designed these things. He had them built over in Japan or in China. We didn't ever see the person that we were dealing with on the other side of the world, and it was a scary day when we had to write him a check and wire them money. I mean, wire them money and not knowing that we'd ever get anything on the other end. And when, surprise, surprise, we got a phone call from some folks at a bonded warehouse facility in South Austin, said, hey, we have some packages for you. So yeah, these things arrived. It was a miracle, and we got them for an incredibly low price compared to what you buy them for. We imported them ourselves. We didn't know anything about what we were doing, but we just pounded our way through this process, and we got our stills here. Fermenting on the grain, think of it as a, yes, in the world there's a simultaneous saccharification and fermentation. We do that, but we just say we ferment it on the grain. So what happens is the fermentation that's going on, it's pulling more and more stuff out of the grain. So we get a little bit higher proof, and we think we get a lot more flavor out of the grains because it's sitting on there during the entire fermentation process. So a week after it's been fermented, we drain it into here. Oh, I guess I left out some important stuff. We use an unusual yeast. We don't use a whiskey yeast like 99% of everybody else in the world does. We actually use a red wine yeast to do our fermentation. Why do I do that? Because red wine yeasts are specifically, I would say designed, but they happen to have this great habit of making lots of esters, making fruity, wonderful red wines. So if they make lots of esters for red wine, my thinking is maybe they'll make lots of esters for our whiskey. So we use that. And it makes about a beer that's about 10% alcohol for us in a week. And so when we distill it, we get about one of these fusties filled up to about 20 gallons-ish full of those. And so our stripping run will give us 20 gallons of booze. But that's not all we finish. We're not done at that step because, like I said, we do everything with a double distillation. So we will do that for 4 weeks in a row. We'll have 4 of these, about 80 gallons worth of spirits, and we will dump that back into the still on the week number 5, and we will distill it a second time, where we are very careful to make our cuts based upon, well, temperature and flavor. We know now we can correlate our temperatures. We have a thermometer in the boiler and one on the top of the column. We've done this enough that we can just look at the thermometer and predict exactly what the flavor profile is. This is going to be done in about
97.5.
yeah, in about another 1 degree C.